This is a video to show you how to input notes into GarageBand using Glory Be to Jesus. And so most of you have a project already started in a piano project. I don't yet, so I'm just going to start a piano project here in GarageBand. Say choose, and it's going to ask me what to call it, and just like we've done before, Glory Be to Jesus, call it that, and we'll worry about the key signature and the tempo and everything in just a little bit here. If you've already started playing in GarageBand and you've already started recording notes and regions, we're going to use that same exact project so that there's only one project that's called Glory Be to Jesus. So in a second here, we'll start to see the project on our screen. We've got one green track, and green in GarageBand stands for MIDI. And MIDI is musical instrument digital interface. So just like we did yesterday, I can hit the record button at the bottom of the screen. I can play the keyboard and it records notes up here, or I can do musical typing and use the notes on my keyboard to record. When I'm done recording, I can just hit the space bar and I can go back and listen to it if it's actually going to play through, which for me right now it's probably not going to. Let me just check that quickly. Preferences, audio MIDI, audio output. Let's send it through the built-in output. I'm recording on my Yeti, so let's see if we can hear it now. Yes, there we go. Okay, so if you have a region already recorded, you can just delete that region. We really don't need that anymore. What we do need is the music for Glory Be to Jesus. So if you have your hymnal, you can open up to, what is it, hymn 103, I believe that it is. But I've got this online for you. If you go to mrwitty.blogspot.com, if the internet works today. If the internet, there we go, mrwitty.blogspot.com. On the right-hand column of the page, it says Get Music Tech Files here. It will show up in a second. I'm working on the world's slowest computer, it seems, today. Here we go, Mr. Witty's Music Tech Blog. And on the right-hand side of the page, scroll down to where it says Music Tech Files here. And you're probably there way ahead of me right now. Get Music Tech Files here. We'll click on that, which will take us to Google Drive. I am on the world's slowest computer. And right now it went to the wrong spot, so I need to go back. Get Music Tech Files here. Click. You probably have it up on your screen long before I do. There we go. Going to the drive, and then find the commercial project folder, and then inside the commercial project folder there is one document, and you can download it to your computer, which is fine with me. Oops, wrong folder once again. Commercial project, not commercial project, sorry, MIDI hymn project. MIDI hymn project. And there's Glory Be to Jesus in the folder for Google Drive. You can download this by clicking on the download button. It will go to your own computer. It will sit in your downloads folder, and you can open it up then from your downloads folder or from Chrome at the bottom of the screen, so that you can have a copy of that on your computer as you are working. Either way works, and it should open up in preview, or it might open up in your browser. If it's not opening up in third track, and then the bass into a fourth track. That's so that we can copy each one of them individually later on in GarageBand. So if you've got it up on your screen, you probably want to adjust your windows so that you can see Glory Be to Jesus and work in GarageBand at a similar time. What we really need to do is to get a region into GarageBand first so that we can start entering these. And we also need to change the key of GarageBand, because you see at the beginning of Glory Be to Jesus, and I'm circling it with my mouse, there is a flat in the key signature. And that flat in the key signature tells us where Do is. And since there is one flat, the last flat would be Fa in the key signature, so this line is Fa, the space under it is Mi, the line under that is Re, and the bottom space then is Do. So actually the alto is starting on Do, and that names the key for us. This letter name is F, because in a treble clef, the bullseye of the bottom of the treble clef highlights the G line. G is the line above F, and things just work alphabetically on a staff. So F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Those would be the lines and the spaces of the treble clef. So in GarageBand, you want to click on the LCD, the blue LCD at the bottom of the screen, and where it's you've got time and measures and chord and project. We need to set our project so that it's F major, because Do is F in this case. So once we set our project so that the key is F major, then all of the notes of Glory Be to Jesus will turn up looking correct inside of GarageBand. That's one thing that we need to do. The other thing that we need to do is make sure that the time signature is the same. At the beginning of Glory Be to Jesus, we've got 4/4 time signature. That means there's 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. So in GarageBand, we also need to check the time signature. That's also down in the project window of the LCD, the blue LCD at the bottom of the screen. And by default, GarageBand starts in 4/4 time. So we're all good. F major, 4/4 time under the project window. Now, you can go back to hitting the record button and do the musical typing on, you can show your keyboard or musical typing using the window menu at the top of the screen. I'm going to do musical typing. This pops up, and just hit notes on my keyboard to get notes in. Hit the space bar to stop, and I've got a region up there. I'm just going to drag that region back to the beginning of that track, and then double click on that region so that I open up the track editor. And you see all of the notes that I've entered. If I play them, it sounds exactly like when I played them. If I look at them in score view, it looks like a mess. We really don't need any of these notes right now, so I'm just going to click and drag around them in the track editor to highlight them, and then hit the delete key on my keyboard to get rid of them. What that has given me is a blank region, an empty region that I can start inputting notes into. And I'm going to use the score feature of the track editor window so that I can input notes. Now, if you noticed, after clicking on score, I grabbed the gray bar. There's a little dot in the middle of it. I grabbed that gray bar and I dragged it straight up so that I make my music staff as big as possible. I want to be able to see clearly what I'm doing. And now I'm going to look just at the soprano track, and all I have to do is match 2 things. One is, what kind of note is this? And the answer is quarter note. And the second thing is, where is this quarter note? And it's on the second space of the treble staff. So back in GarageBand, I've got an insert menu. The insert menu is under the piano roll button. And in that insert menu, I would select a quarter note, because that's the kind of note that I'm starting out with in Glory Be to Jesus. Select a quarter note. It says quarter note. And then I come over to the staff. Now, to click in a note, you have to hold down the command key. Once you hold down the command key, you get a ghost note on the screen, and you can actually move it up and down so that you place it in the right spot. There's one other thing to notice, and that is above your staff in the timeline, there's little dots. My staff says 1, and then there's a very faint dot, a big dot, a faint dot, a big dot, a faint dot, a big dot, and a faint dot, and then it says 2. Those big dots are the beats. They're the quarter notes. So I line it up underneath that first big dot. I put it on F, and then I click, and then I see what I get. If I missed and I get an F sharp, all I have to do is grab the note head and drag down. If I put it on a G, I can still grab it and drag it down and put it on F. Well, F is the wrong note, sorry. It needs to be on the second space, which is A. That should match up with the first note of the soprano. So I've put in one note. Hold down Command. I'm looking at the second note in the soprano track. It's also an A, which is on the second space. I hold down Command, find it, click it in, got it. Third note is a G, it's on the second line. Fourth note, G, second line. Fifth note, now I need to change my note value because the note head is open, so this is a half note. I change my insert menu from a quarter note to a half note. And I hold down Command, and now I'm in the second measure. You see we've crossed over a bar line, and that bar line helps us know where we are in the music. So I'm in the second measure, and I make sure that I place it on the bottom space. And then I look at my next note, and it's on the bottom line. It's going to be an E, so I do the same thing. If I happen to try to put it under the second beat, it doesn't want to even go there. So GarageBand helps me place this, put it on an E. I've run out of space now in my region. I don't have any more measures that I can put in, so I come up in the project area and I can drag this region out. I think I'm going to go up to 9, which is 8 full measures. First measure, second measure, third measure. Now I've given myself more space down below that I can add notes. So now we're in the third measure, and now we're back to quarter notes. So I change the insert menu, come back to a quarter note. I look at the first note, and it's on the bottom space. Hold down Command, press second note, bottom space. You notice on this note that the alto and the soprano are actually sharing the same note. The soprano note is stemmed up, the alto note is stemmed down. They just happen to be on the same note there. F, next one, G, second line. G again, second line. And then I have to change my note value again. This is a whole note. It has no stem on it. So I change my insert menu to say whole note. Place a whole note on the second space. Oops, too low. Flats are low. So drag up so that it becomes the natural. Now GarageBand is just going to keep going on in a straight line. Back on the score for Glory Be to Jesus, this measure continues down in the second system. And now we're in the 1, 2, 3, 4th measure, actually 5th measure, and we're on the 1, 2, 3rd space from the bottom, and this is C. So we have to change our insert menu back to a quarter note because the note head is filled in. Hold down Command, C. There's another one on beat 2. Beat 3 is on B flat. Now notice there's a ghost B flat on this note. But when you insert it, that ghost B flat goes away. That's the purpose of the key signature. So out front here, this flat on the B line takes the place of all flats on the B line. So the key signature is like shorthand so that you don't have to keep writing in B flats. 4th beat is also going to be another B flat. It looks like B flat, but that flat goes away because it's in the key signature, so it looks the same as our score. Go to the next measure. We have to change to a half note again. We're looking here. Above life, it's on the second space. Choose a half note, second space. Blood is second line. And now we're back to quarter notes again. And second space, A, too low, drag it up. Too low, drag it up. Second line, sacred, 4th note. And then finally, the last note of the soprano is a whole note. Come back over, grab a whole note. and place it. Oops, a sharp is too high. Grab it and drag it down so it becomes a natural. And there we have the entire soprano line. Now, before we save our project, there's a couple of things that I want you to do. One is play it. So all you have to do is go back, hit the space bar, listen to it. There you go. Sounds like "Oh Glory Be to Jesus." By the way, that clicking in the background, that's the metronome. If you go up to the control menu, you notice there's a check mark in front of metronome. I actually want that to stay on right now because it's going to help you know if you placed your note in the right spot. I'll show you what I mean. Right now we're looking at score view, and as we look at the soprano staff here, and I'm just going to get rid of the information panel on the side so that I can see most of this melody at once. I'm going to use my zoom slider so I can see it all. So there's my entire soprano melody down below here. The notation should look like it does in the hymnal, except the yellow soprano track, or the soprano line, is all by itself. But if I click on piano roll view and scroll up or scroll down, I should still be able to see all of those notes. And I'm going to show you some things about the piano roll view. First off, it's once again a graph. So going up from bottom to top is pitch. Low is at the bottom and high is at the top. And you can even see what notes you've entered if you click and hold on them. So like our first note is called A3. You can also see how long the notes are. Notice all of the vertical lines going up and down. Well, here's the first measure from 1 until 2, and I see a short line, a tall line, a short line, a tall line, a short line, a tall line, a short line, a tall line. If I click in the upper right-hand corner of the track editor on the ruler, I can see right now that I'm looking at eighth notes in the columns. What I want to look right now at is quarter notes. So I'm going to choose quarter notes from that view column. Now I can see every column and every line of the measure is a quarter note, and that helps me know how long these are. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes in the very first measure, and you can see that back here on score view as I go back and forth between score view and piano roll view. What I want you to do is click on piano roll view, click in the project area, or physically drag a box around all of those notes that you just put in. And we're going to use the power of the computer to help our notes all start on one of these vertical lines. In other words, start on the beats that they should. In the bottom left-hand side of the track editor, you've got something that says quantize note timing. Well, quantizing is a technique of moving notes automatically, aligning notes to a certain beat. And the rule of thumb that we use is quantize to the shortest note value. So if I look at Glory Be to Jesus, I look at all the note values. I've got a quarter note, I've got a half note, and I've got a whole note. Those are all the note values of the soprano track. The shortest one is the quarter note. So back in GarageBand, I want to select all of my notes in the track editor, go over to quantize note timing and say quantize to quarter notes. Now, if you're good, all of them should look like the left-hand side of the note starts right on a vertical line. Where you will notice a problem is if one of these notes is not starting on a vertical line. I'm just going to move this one slightly so that you can see it. So the first beat of measure 2 was here. I moved the first beat off by just a little bit so that you can see what happens with quantized note timing. I select all of my notes, say move everything to the closest quarter note, and now watch that first note move. So automatically it found the closest quarter note. That's the beauty of working in a program like GarageBand. You can use the power of the computer to align your notes and make sure that everything sounds right and looks right. After you've done that, I want you to save your project so that after every track that you put in, you've saved, so that if something goes wrong, you can always get back to your saved version. Now, we've input the soprano track, but the track says grand piano. We can change the name on the region. You notice that the region also says grand piano. Down in the track editor, on the upper left-hand corner of the track editor, it also says grand piano. If you double-click on the grand piano in the upper left-hand corner of the track editor, you can select it and call it soprano, S-O-P-R-A-N-O. Enter. And then notice up above, that region is now called soprano. This will be important later on when we are copying soprano tracks to other instruments. We always know which track has the melody in it. So that's how to make one track. We followed the yellow line of Glory Be to Jesus. That yellow line was the soprano. And we changed our notes through the insert menu down in the track editor. We held down Command so that we could make a ghost note so that we could place them. We lined things up according to beats in the track editor, and we also quantized notes at the end of the track. Now, to start the alto track, you can once again record an empty track or an empty region like we did to begin with, or you could go up to the track menu and say duplicate track. That gives you the same parameters. You can click once on the green soprano region and hold down Option. When you hold down Option and then click and drag that green region straight down, you make an exact copy of it. This is called option dragging. What this enables you to do is to get at your alto notes even faster. But let's change the name of this track. Make sure that you're on the second track now. Change the name from soprano to alto by double-clicking in the upper left-hand corner of the track editor region. Notice above now it says alto, but these are the same notes. So here's the fast way of entering the alto line. To enter the alto line, we're just going to drag the notes to the appropriate spot. So when you look at Glory Be to Jesus, alto is now in green. So these are the lower notes of the treble clef. So our first alto note is an F. It's on the bottom space. So making sure I'm in the second track, which we just renamed alto, I'm going to grab the first note, drag it down to F, so that I don't have to make new notes. I basically have the same rhythm, and I can just put them where they're supposed to be. F, 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 and then bottom line E. Now, in the second measure, the alto has 2 quarter notes where the soprano has 1 half note. So I'm actually going to have to change this note. I'm just going to click on that first half note, delete that, come over to my insert menu, grab a quarter note, and I need to make a quarter note on the bottom line. Hold down Command, click, oops, that's flat, that's too low, drag it up, there we go, that's an E. Now don't worry that the stem is going up here in the alto clef, but back in Glory Be to Jesus, the stem is going down. There's different rules for stems when there's only 1 note in a staff versus when there's 2 notes in a staff. So back in the hymnal version, the alto stems go down to show that they're a different note value than the soprano half note, which carries through both of those. So I continue making my quarter notes for the alto. Going to D, and now we've got a C sharp. So I'm going to drag this E down, but I can't get that line. You see, this line is a ledger line. It's a line that extends the staff either down or up. You can put ledger lines above or below. In GarageBand, I need to drag down. You see, I got that ledger line, but I don't have the C sharp. GarageBand goes, well, you're in the key of F. Why would you want a C sharp? And this C and that D flat are, or the D flat, excuse me, and the C sharp are actually the same note. Let me prove that to you. If I click on piano roll and I click on the note that I just put in, it says C sharp 3, even though back here on score view for the alto, that note looks like it's a D flat. That's called an enharmonic. Or if I bring up the keyboard, that's a Command K to bring up the keyboard. This is C, that's C sharp. This is D, that's D flat. So C sharp and D flat are the same key on the keyboard. There's just two different ways to write it. So this D flat is the same as this C sharp. Continue adding the notes in the alto staff, just like we were doing, adjusting the soprano notes as need be so that you save yourself some time. Move that down, that's a D. Here's where the two share the same note, it's still an F. The alto stays on an F, bottom space, bottom line, and so on and so forth, finishing out the alto line, following green all the way through. When you get done with that, go to piano roll view, highlight all, or you can click and do Command A to select all, or you can click and go up to the edit menu and say select all. Then you'll quantize once again to the shortest note value, the quarter note. Everything moves to the closest quarter note, then you save. Then it's time to move on to the tenor line. If you are so fast as to work on the tenor line without me, notice now we're in the bass clef. So if you've finished the alto line, which I haven't right now, but I've just shown how to start that. If you want to start the tenor line, duplicate the track. Excuse me, I hit the wrong button. I'm going to delete that one. Delete that track. I'm going to duplicate the track. I'm going to option drag, so hold down option, drag the alto track down. I'm going to rename it, call it tenor, T-E-N-O-R. Now, when I look at score view, you notice that all of the notes are in the treble clef. I'm going to show you how to see only bass clef. I'm going to click on the treble clef and bass clef in score view, and I'm going to choose only a bass clef. When I choose only a bass clef, I can see exactly what I see in Glory Be to Jesus, and now I see where I can drag these notes down to. Now they're going to look the same. I could stay back here on the grand staff, but middle C's are going to stay in the treble clef. So I really want to force my view in GarageBand to be the same as the hymnal. There's just the bass clef. Now I'm going to follow the blue notes of the tenor track, adjusting my notes so that they are identical with the hymnal. Whoops. And then I'll do the same thing with the bass track. So by the time you're done with this, you should have 4 tracks. Each one of these 4 tracks will be a different voice: soprano, alto, tenor, and then finally bass. And I'll just start the bass track here so that you can see that. We're moving down to F. Now we're following purple. And if you have a hard time knowing the letter names, just look at lines and spaces and count up from the bottom or count down from the top, lines and spaces. Like this first bass note is the second line from the top. Second bass note, second line from the top. Third bass note, second space from the bottom, and just make sure that you're putting them in the same spots and they're the same note values. Try to get that all done by Monday so that on Monday we can double check this and then go on to orchestration. Basically, how do you make different instruments play the exact same thing? Soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Don't make this sound like a piano, but like a band or an orchestra playing along with. So that's the lesson for today on entering MIDI notes into GarageBand for our MIDI hymn project.